In this video, we're going to take this Figma design and turn it into a fully functional Framer website. I will show you how to set up the project in the most efficient way so development is easy, how to structure your website so it's 100% responsive, and how to add interactive animations so our website feels alive. So if you're a beginner looking to learn Framer quickly, then this video is perfect for you. The design we're going to be building is a menu website inspired by our Altair template, and you will find all of the links you need to follow along in the description of this video. Now, just an important note, to help us develop this project, we will actually use Remix UI, and I have created an exclusive 7-day free trial for anyone that signs up from this video. So I'm just gonna quickly show you how to make use of this free trial. First, you have to go to wisetemplates.com, and then you're gonna go to the pricing page, and then you're gonna click Get Remix UI Basic. This is the plan that we'll need. And once you click it, you'll go to the checkout screen, and here you just basically make sure you pick the basic plan. You fill out all of the details here, and then you see you will have a free 7-day trial. And don't worry, right after we're finished with this video, you can cancel it straight away if you don't want to use it. But I really think it's super useful for anybody using Framer. So give it a shot. If you don't like it, cancel it. If you like it, give it a go for another few days and then decide if you want to keep it or not. After you buy the plan, you just simply need to create a profile in wisetemplates.com. I'm just going to log into mine. Once we're logged in into our profile, all we have to do is click My Account. And then after you get the 7-day trial, you will receive an email with the license key. All you have to do is plug in the license key right here, click Activate, and then you will be able to go to the component library and the section library that we will use to build this website faster and easier. Okay, so this is the design that we're going to be building. It's a very simple structure, but it's perfect for the purposes of this video. Basically, we have a simple navigation, a simple hero section, then we have a cool slideshow here, and then we're going to build a simple footer with left-aligned text and a cool background image. Now, the first thing that we'll do as soon as we create our Framer project is we're going to create our styles. This will basically make developing the website way easier. So first, I will add the color styles, and I will simply grab the fill color of the background here, which will be our dark color. I'm basically just going to go to assets right here on the left sidebar, go to styles, and then add in a new color style. We're going to call it dark, and we're going to paste in the color value. Then I'm going to add the white color style. So white, and it's going to be a pure white color. And then we're going to see what other colors we have in this template. It's a fairly straightforward design. The color comes mostly from the images, so I think these two colors will be perfectly suitable for us. The last color that we'll add is just the text color. So I'm going to select this hex code, and I'm going to add a new color style. We're going to call it text, and I'm going to paste the hex code right there. And now we're going to add our typography styles. So I'm going to click on the plus and add our heading 1 style. And let's see what we have. We have enter tight, regular 84 pixels. Enter tight and Framer is actually called enter display. So we're gonna set it to a white color. We're gonna set it to regular font weight. We're gonna enable the balance function. And then for the size, it's gonna be 84. Line height is 110 and letter spacing is -2%, which is basically -0.02 EM. You can also set it to a percent for the line height, but I'm going to keep it at EM because it's easier for me. Now that we have our heading 1, let's add our heading 2 style, which is right here in the footer. I'm going to click on the plus. I'm going to add in a heading 2 style. We're going to select enter display. We're going to select regular font weight. We're going to make it white. We're going to enable balance. And for the size, we're going to set it to 72. And letter spacing is -1, so I'm going to set it to -1, and line height is 1.1. Okay, so our headings are done for this template. If you're building a bigger website, obviously we're going to add a heading 3, a heading 4, etc., etc. But for the purposes of this video, this is everything we need. We actually can add this text style as a heading 3, so let's just do it. So we have it. Heading 3, we're going to select enter display once again. We're gonna select medium this time. It's gonna be white again. For the size, it's gonna be 20 pixels. The letter spacing is 0 and the line height is 1.2. Okay, now our headings are fully done. let's add our pre-heading style, which is right here. I'm going to click on the plus. I'm going to add a paragraph style, and we're going to call this pre-heading. And now let's see what settings we have. We have intermediate 14 pixels, intermediate, set the color to white by default, 14 pixels. Letter spacing is 10, so that's going to be 0.1 EM. Line height is 100%, so that's going to be 1 EM. And another detail that we have to keep in mind is that the text here is capitalized. So we're going to set transform to uppercase, and that's going to handle that. And our pre-heading is done. Now let's add our P18 style, paragraph 18. I'm going to add a paragraph, and I'm going to call it P18. And we are going to set it to enter regular 18, enter regular color. We're going to set it to our text color. 18 pixels, letter spacing is 0, line height is 1.6. And let's see what else do we have. We have a P16 style. I'm basically just going to duplicate the P18, rename it to P16, and we will set it to 16 pixels. And I think we also do have one P14 style right here used in this little element. So I'm just going to duplicate this once again, call it P14, and set the size to 14. And I think this pretty much covers all of the text styles that we have in this project. So now we're gonna move on to actually developing it. Now the second thing I usually do after adding in my styles is I immediately add the tablet and phone breakpoints, because if we develop everything in desktop, we might not consider stuff for tablet and phone, and it gets pretty messy. So adding them from the beginning is what I usually do. Then I'm gonna change the background fill color to the dark color, and now we're ready to add in our navigation. Now, to make it easier for ourselves, we're going to pick a navigation that is similar to what we have in the design right here from Remix UI. So I'm just going to go to Remix UI section library. I'm going to pick navigations, and we're looking for a navigation that has a logo on the left, links on the left, and a button on the right, which I think is this right here, the middle one, navigation 3. Once we have it copied, we go to Framer, we simply paste it inside of our project. We're going to set the width to fill and the height to fit. And now I'm just going to select the desktop layer and set the height to 1200 for now. We're going to fix that later because we don't want to fix height on our desktop breakpoint. But basically now all we have to do is double click the navigation, click unlink and replace all. And now we're going to work on actually making it look like what we have in our design. So first I will export the logo. I'm just going to export it as an SVG, and then I'm going to double click on the logo right here and insert it. Once the logo is here, I'm going to set the type to fit, so it's actually fitting into our container, and I'm going to adjust the width and height settings. The width is 66 and the height is 17, so we're going to do exactly that. Just like that, we have the same exact fit as on our design. I'm just gonna make it slightly taller like this, and our logo is inserted. Now we're gonna work on our links. I'm gonna double click the links, and I'm gonna unlink and replace all. And now for the background, we're actually gonna go from a white 0% opacity, and then we're gonna change the text inside to a white color, and we're gonna set it to P16, I believe. Yep, we're going to set it to P16. The color, again, we're going to set it to white. And the hover effect will actually be white, 12%. And our text will keep its white style that we have set before. Actually, let's make the background even like 6%, so it's more of a subtle effect. We're not going to use the dark variants because our design is fully dark mode. Now we're gonna go back to our navigation, and I'm just gonna make sure we have the same exact links as on our design. So we have home here. I'm gonna paste the text in the text field. We have portfolio for the second thing, and we have about for the third one. Now another little detail that we have is this little divider right here. Now before adding it, I'm just gonna select the container that holds our links, and I'm gonna set the gap to 10 so they sit a bit closer to each other. And now to add this little line, what we're going to do is we're actually going to hit F on our keyboard, and we're going to draw a simple line right here, and we're going to set it to 12 pixels of height and 1 pixels of width. We're going to set it to white, 24%, and we're gonna move it to the right of our logo. We're gonna drag this divider line. Let's actually name it divider so we don't get confused. We're gonna put it right here on top of the link. So basically now all of the main layers in desktop are top, divider, links, and button wrapper. Now on the link, on the top layer, we do have a 36 pixel padding to the right that gives it this distance. And we want to add the same amount of padding to the links. So I'm just going to select the links layer. We're going to click this button on the padding and we're going to add 36 pixels to the left. Actually, let's reduce it a bit because we do have like 12 pixels of padding. Let's do 24 to the left. And now it does look pretty symmetrical and we have this exact line that we have on our design. Now it's time to work on the button. Basically, we're going to double click it. We're going to unlink and replace it. And now we will delete the light option and we're going to be working only on this first option right here. Now this button is pretty simple. It has 4% white fill and 20% white stroke. So we're going to add that. So for the fill, we're going to set it to a solid color, 4%. We're going to remove the radius because we do have sharp corners right here. And then for the border, it's going to be white 12%, just like actually 20%. Just like that. And one text style that we forgot to add is the button text style. So let's just add them right now. First, I'm going to delete this arrow. I'm going to select the text. We're going to set it to inter semi-bold. We're going to set it to white. The font size will be 14 by default. The letter spacing will be 0 and the line height we'll leave it at 120%. And I think that's pretty close to what we have on our design. Now we're just going to check the padding that we have. It's 1813. And what we have on our current one, it's 1620. So we're going to say 13, 18, 13, 18. And this will get it close to what we want it to be. Now for the hover effect, what I want to do is I actually want to turn it into a 80% or maybe like 40% white fill. And the border, we're going to set it again to 40% white fill. And now if we preview our navigation, we should have a cool hover effect. I'm actually gonna edit it because I don't think it's nice enough. I'm gonna set the fill to 100% fill, and then the color of the text will change to dark, and I think this will look way better. Yeah, that's way nicer. Okay, now our navigation is almost done. We're just gonna fix up our mobile navigation. First things first, we're gonna move our logo above the icon so it goes to the left side. Same thing on the phone open variant, just move it above it, and just like that, it's in the right position. We're also going to remove the divider from the closed variant, the links, and the button wrapper. I'm simply clicking delete on my keyboard and this hides it on this menu. We're gonna also delete the divider line from the open variant, and pretty much just like that, we are done. Now, last few things we have to do for the navigation before we're fully finished with it is we need to set a max width of 864 pixels. So because our navigation is actually very narrow, and now if we preview it like this, it actually follows the size of our screen, and this isn't correct with the design. So we're gonna set a max width of 864, and now we're pretty much good. Few last details, I promise these are really the last details. We will actually right click this and we're going to click create layout template, which will basically make sure that our navigation and after that our footer will be applied on all of the pages we create, so you don't have to manually add them everywhere. I'm just going to click create layout template and we're going to call it navigation. Once we have it, we will set the position type to fixed, so this way the navigation always stays on the top of the page. We're going to set it to 0. The width we're going to set to relative 100%, and max width will be set to 864. Now we're going to click the desktop layer right here and we're going to add a padding on top. We're going to pick our navigation. It is 76 pixels high, so we're going to add 76 pixels of padding on top so our content doesn't interfere with the navigation. Finally, we're going to add a stack on top of our navigation. Now we're going to set it again to fixed, add the 0 on top, remove the side attachments. We're going to set it to relative 100%, and we will add a slight fill color. It will be a gradient and it will go from dark to dark 0%. This way we'll have a nice background that will make sure our links are visible no matter if there are over content on our website or anything else. This will make sense in a little once we see it in action. But with that out of the way, we are pretty much done with the navigation. I'm gonna go back to the home page. Okay, so to make this work, we're actually gonna select our navigation, set it to absolute, make sure the width is 100% and the max width is 864. Then we're gonna add 2 breakpoints, tablet and mobile, just to make sure our navigations are actually set to there. Now, finally, last few things I promise, set the alignment to top 0. And now for the mobile, we're actually gonna adjust the top padding of the form breakpoint to 64. And we are pretty much good to go on our navigation. Now that we have the navigation done, let's add this little starry background. And how we actually add it is we simply select the layer. We need to export it as an SVG. Once we've exported it, simply drag and drop it onto the canvas. We're gonna right click, add a frame on top of it, and then we're gonna Command X to cut it, or Control X, and we're gonna paste it inside of our desktop layer. And then we are gonna lock the width and height. We're gonna set it to relative, 100%. And now we're gonna set the position type to absolute, and we're gonna set it to 0 pixels from the top. Once we do that, we have to make sure the z-index is set to 0 so it doesn't go over the content above. And finally, we're almost done. The last thing we have to do is lock the layer. So we're going to right click and then we're going to click lock. So this way we don't accidentally select it and it doesn't interfere with the development process of the rest of the website. Now, next up, we are going to work on this first part, the hero section. Basically, we're going to start from the pre-heading, H1, and then the description. So I've just copied the text from the Figma design. I'm going to click F on my keyboard and we're going to draw a frame, which will be our hero section. I'm going to set it to fill. Then I'm going to make sure it's below our frame that holds the stars. I'm going to make it a bit taller. I'm going to remove the fill color. I'm going to add a layout to it. Then I'm going to set the direction to vertical. And now we're going to draw another frame inside of it. I'm going to set it again to fill. I'm going to make it slightly bigger. Remove the fill. Add the layout, add a max width of 1200 pixels. Actually, the max width can be slightly smaller. Let's do 864, so it's the same width as the navigation. Then we're gonna add some padding. Basically, we have 110 pixels above and 64 below. So because we have some padding here, I'm gonna add like 100 on top, 20 to the right, 64 on the bottom, and 20 to the left. Once we have that, we can select the stack that we added just a second ago, and we're going to set its height to fit content. And now inside of this stack that we also have to set the vertical align, we will click T on the keyboard. We're going to click inside so we start writing, and I'm going to copy the text from here. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to select the pre-heading style. I'm going to set it to fill, and then I'm going to align it to the middle. And our pre-heading is done. Now I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy the headline. I'm gonna select the heading 1 style that we created for it. Then I'm gonna duplicate it again, copy the description, paste it here, and then select the P18 style that we created for it. And now all we have to do is select the stack that holds this. We're gonna set the height to fit content and the gap to 24 pixels. Let's just make sure. Actually, we're gonna set it to 20 because that's what we have by design. And now one little detail that many people miss, but is very important, is the max width for the description. As you can see here, the description field is a bit narrower than the headline, and this makes it easier to read and it's a bit more pleasing to the eyes. But on our design, it goes a bit wider than our headline, and we have a bit too many words per row, which is not as pleasing to the eye. So how do we fix that? We basically need to add a max width of 660 pixels to our description, and this will pretty much fix our problem, just like this. Now the next part that we'll work on is this button part below our description. Now to work on it, we need to select the 3 layers that we just added. We're gonna right click, add stack. We're gonna set the gap to 20 once again. And now we will add another frame inside of this stack, which we'll actually call content wrapper. The one below it we'll call it text wrapper. And this will be hero section. Okay, now that we have a bit of our organization going on, let's click F on our keyboard and draw a frame below our text wrapper. I'm gonna set the width to fill. I'm gonna make it slightly bigger. I'm gonna remove the fill color, and now we will add a button. Now we do have a sharp corner button, so I'm gonna go to Remix UI. I'm gonna go to the component library, and then we're gonna select buttons. Now I'll copy the sharp button component from here. We're gonna go back to Framer, and I'm gonna paste it inside of the frame we just created. I'm gonna select the frame. I'm gonna add a layout to it. It's gonna have a fit content height and a horizontal direction. Now let's customize this button so it actually looks like what we have on our design. I'm gonna remove the light version, and then we're gonna work on our button right here. Now basically how this button works is it has a slight transparent border around it, and then inside it has this fully white color. So we're gonna have to make some adjustments. First, I'm gonna remove the arrow, then I'm gonna select the main dark layer, and I'm gonna add a white color that actually has, let's check, a 30% opacity. Okay, we're also gonna remove all of our padding from it, and then we're gonna add a stack on top of our text layer that will have 13, 18, 13 on top, 18 on the sides padding. Just like this, we're gonna set it to fit content for the width. And we're gonna add a fill color of pure white. And then for the main dark layer, we're actually gonna add a 2 pixel padding all around. Then we're gonna select the text layer, and we're gonna make it in the dark color. Now for the hover effect, what we'll actually do is I think we should select, the dark hover layer. We're gonna set the opacity to 80, then we're gonna select the stack that is fully white, and we're gonna also set it to 80 pixels or even less, like probably 60 or even 40. Actually, you know what? We can remove the opacity here completely and it will look even better. So if we hover, we have this nice effect that kind of signifies that this is clickable. Okay, now that we have our button, it's time to work on this little trust building element. Now, how this is built is basically with the component called stacked images in Remix UI. We're gonna basically copy it and we will paste it inside of our layer that holds the button. I'm gonna put it to the right side. Then we're gonna add a 36 pixels gap. I'm gonna set it to 3 images right here from the right hand side. And now we wanna make the images slightly bigger. How we do that is we basically double click the component, unlink it, and now we'll have to do some manual adjustments. We're gonna make them on the main variant, which is the 4 images, and this will automatically reflect on all of the other variants. So basically what we need to do is we need to expand all of these frames, select all of these images, holding down Command or Control, and the width we're gonna set to 44 by 44. Now we're gonna select all of the frames that we have, and for the width, we'll actually set it to something like 36 or 28, I think will be nicer. Yeah, 28 I think is fine. And now we're gonna select the main layer that hosts this, and we will set the height to 44. And just like that, it is pretty nicer and almost done. We just need to make this padding match the length of the circle. And just like that, our component is done. The images are bigger. I'm gonna set the height to 44 here as well. And now I'll just insert some random images just so we can see how it looks with actual images inside. Okay, I inserted some images and you can see this is looking pretty good already. Now what we have to do is actually add the stars and the text to the right side. So I'm gonna right click, add stack. I'm gonna set the width to fit. And then we're gonna check the gap that we have here, which is 13 pixels. So I'm gonna round it up to 12 because I think that just sounds better. And now what we'll do is we'll go back to Remix UI and we will copy the adjustable stars component, and I'm gonna paste it inside of the stack that we created here. I'm gonna move them to the right hand side. For the color, I'm gonna choose white, and now I'm gonna add another stack on top of these stars. I'm gonna set the width to fill, and then the direction will be vertical, left aligned, and the gap is, let's see, we have 6 pixels of a gap here. I think that will be a bit much, but let's see. And now I'm just gonna copy the description that we have up here. I'm gonna paste it. I'm gonna set the width to fit content. I'm gonna remove the max width. And now I'm going to set it to P14, and we will copy the text that we have in the design. And just like that, our component is pretty much done. I'm just going to lower the gap to 4 pixels because I think this looks nicer. And last thing, we need to make sure that the gap between the button and the description is the same as in the design, which is 36, and currently it's 20. So let's increase that, and our first section is almost ready. I mean, it's pretty much ready. Now the next part I will work on is the slideshow part. So for this slideshow part, we basically have 2 text layers on top and then the slideshow below. So we're gonna add it actually right below the content wrapper. So I'm just gonna click F and insert a small frame right here, move it below the content wrapper, make the width fill, make it slightly bigger, and then I'm gonna select the desktop layer and make sure the height is set to fit content, just like this. Now I'm gonna remove the fill color from this layer. I'm gonna add a layout to it. It's gonna be vertical. And now we will add these little elements. Basically, I'm gonna draw another frame inside of the stack we just created. I'm gonna set the width to fill. I'm gonna set a max width of 864. I'm gonna remove the color. We're gonna enable the layout. It's gonna be horizontal. And now we will copy the description text from here and paste it inside of the stack we just created. So we're gonna remove the max width and we're gonna set it to left align. We're gonna copy the latest projects text right here, like this. We're gonna select the stack that holds it, set the height to fit content. We're gonna duplicate this and we're gonna align it to the right side, and we're gonna copy the text on the right side right here, just like this. And finally, we're gonna select the stack of these two, and we're gonna add a slight bit of padding to the left and right of 12 pixels, just like this. And this part is pretty much done. We're just gonna, actually, let's check. Is it, okay, it's 14 pixels. So we're gonna pick P14 and we're gonna set them to the white color. So they're just exactly like how it is right here. Now, after we have this part done, it's time to work on the slideshow itself. I'm gonna go to insert, I'm gonna search for slideshow. I'm gonna insert it below our layer that we just created. I'm gonna set it to fill. I'm gonna make it way bigger, and then we're gonna select the stack that holds these two and set it to fit content. Now, what we have to do is set a max width to this slideshow as well of 864 pixels. And now all we have to do is export these images. So I'm just gonna drag them away just like this. If you're using the Figma file that I have provided in the description, I will most likely have done this for you already. So all you will have to do is simply export them from wherever I have put them. But yeah, I'm just gonna export the 3 of these images. Now that we have them exported, I'll drag them to the left of our canvas right here, and let's position them nicely so they look good. And now what we have to do is we actually have to add this little background element that we have, which has a fill of white 2% and a stroke of 12%. Basically, I'm gonna add a stack around this, and then we will add some padding to it, 10 pixels on top and 40 on the sides. Okay, we're gonna set the width and height to fit and fit content, just like this. And now we're gonna add a fill color of white 2% and a stroke of 12%. And we also have one more effect that we need to add, which is a background blur of 36 pixels. So we're gonna click the plus on the styles. We're gonna go to filters, background blur, 36, just like this. And now we're pretty much done. Now all we'll do is we'll simply duplicate this by holding down Alt or Option and just dragging it away just like that. And now we'll just simply copy these images and paste them in place of the original image. Okay, now that we have this, all we have to do is simply connect everything to the slideshow, and we'll need to make some slight adjustments to the slideshow settings so it looks exactly like it looks here in the design. So first, we're gonna enable autoplay. The interval, I would recommend 2.5 seconds. The draggable, you can enable it or not. It's really just a personal choice. Now for the effects, what we'll do is we'll actually set the opacity to 0.5 and the scale to something like 0.8, I believe would look nice. For the align, we're gonna set it to bottom. The items, we're gonna leave it at 1. And for the gap, it's gonna be 12 pixels. The height up here, we're gonna actually lower it so it matches the height. So it's gonna be 575, just like this. Now for clipping, we will show the overflow, just like that. And for the arrows, we don't have any arrows and we don't have any dots. So I'll remove both of those. Now if we preview this, you will see we have this nice slideshow effect in the bottom. Now, one last thing, they're actually not aligning to the bottom. Let's see why does this happen. I'm not sure. This is a weird Framer bug because if we set the align right here, it should actually impact where they're aligned to, but it doesn't seem to be doing that. But anyways, we're gonna just roll with it. And now what we'll have to do is add this little fading effect in the bottom that we have. Now how this is achieved is in a pretty tricky way, but it's gonna work out. So what we have to do is we have to select the stack that holds the slideshow. So I'm gonna call this slideshow wrapper. I'm gonna call the layer below the text wrapper. And then for the slideshow wrapper, we're gonna add a style. We're gonna add a simple mask. And we're just gonna basically drag this down a bit. So the bottom part of our slideshow is fading out. Once we have this fading out, we need to add this blur effect. So we're gonna draw a simple frame outside of our canvas, preferably the size of the desktop canvas. We're gonna set the fill color to something very slight, like 2% white. We're gonna add a background blur of something, I think this is a pretty big background blur, like 40. Okay, and then we're gonna add a mask on top of this, which will actually look like this. And now if we cut this frame and we paste it inside of the slideshow wrapper and we set it to absolute, at the 000 mark, it gives us this blurry bottom effect right here. I think we could actually increase that and probably make it slightly taller, and we can increase the blur to like 80 probably even. Actually, let's keep it at 40, and instead what we'll do is we will drag this up slightly, just like this, so we have more blur area, which makes it look a bit better. So yeah, now we have our blur. It's time to add the background image right here. So how we will add this? Pretty simple. We're gonna simply export it. I would recommend exporting it as at least 1.5x because we want to keep the high resolution. And once we have it exported, all we have to do is simply, again, drag it into the canvas. We're gonna cut it with Command X, and I'm gonna paste it inside of the hero section layer. I'm gonna set it to 100% width. Make sure it's locked so the height stays the same. We're gonna set it to absolute. We're gonna set it to, let's say, 200 pixels from the top, or maybe 100, 110 or something. Z-index will be 0. We're gonna drag it above everything, just like this. And let's see, let's actually do 80 from the top, or 90 or something like that. I think 110 is probably the best. Actually, even more, 160, 180, 200 even. Yeah, 200 seems to be nice for the desktop layer. We're gonna take care of the mobile a bit later. But I think this is looking pretty nice. Now, one last effect we're gonna add on this is a mask. So I'm gonna just insert a mask, and I'm gonna drag this down a bit so we have just this small area. And I think that should be looking pretty cool already. So yeah, you can see that we have this super nice background effect applied. This pretty much concludes the hero section. Now we're just gonna work on the footer. It's gonna be pretty simple. We do have most of the elements already taken care of. So what I will do is I'll simply draw a frame right here on the bottom. I'm gonna cut it with Command X or Control X and paste it inside of our desktop. I'm gonna set the width to fill. I'm gonna remove the fill color, enable the layout, And now we're actually start working on it. I'm gonna set the direction to vertical, and we're gonna add another stack inside of it. So we're gonna set it to fill once again, but we will add a max width. We're gonna add a layout first and then a max width of 1200. So something like this. And we're gonna set it to vertical, left align, and then we will actually add some padding here. We're gonna add 180 on top, and for the bottom we're not gonna touch it for now, but we're gonna add 20 to the right and left sides, and we're gonna remove the fill color. And now for the stack that holds it, which will actually be called footer, and this will be called content wrapper. The footer, we're gonna set it to fit content for the height. And now what we have to do is actually one thing we forgot. This image that we just inserted as the background, we simply need to lock it. This way it won't interfere with us selecting things above it. Now I'll simply copy the text elements that we have above because we have pretty much the same exact things except the description. Actually, we can even copy, no, let's just copy that, paste it inside of the content wrapper, make sure the content wrapper is set to fit content. And then all of these, we're gonna set to left align. So left align that, remove the description because we don't need it. And for the headline, we're gonna set it to heading 2. And now let's just copy the content we have in the design. Okay, now we need to add this little element below our text wrapper. So select the content wrapper, paste it right here. Make sure it's aligned to the left. What is wrong with our button? Whoa, what the fuck just happened? Why did it bug out like this? Okay, we're gonna align it to the start. We're gonna set the gap right here. Actually, we're gonna first add stack to both of them, and we're gonna set the gap to 44 here. And below that, actually, let's add some padding here. Let's do 24 padding on the content wrapper, or probably even more, like 36, I think, and we can adjust it later. So below that, we have some links. Now, how we'll do that is we'll basically add another stack right here in the content wrapper layer, and we're gonna set the gap of the content wrapper to like 60 pixels. I know it's 80 in the design, but I think that's a bit much. 72 is probably a bit nicer. We're gonna set it to fill, expand it a bit, remove the color, and now we do have a slight issue here that I just noticed. This little G is getting cut out. How do we fix that? Is we basically select the text wrapper, we make sure the overflow is set to visible, and this will fix it. Now moving on to the links again, we're gonna enable the layout, make sure it's set to vertical, left align, and we will add a text layer right here. Select heading 3, copy the links text, and now we will add another frame below it, just like this. We're gonna set it to fill. I'm gonna make it slightly bigger, remove the fill color. The layout will be horizontal with 24 pixels of a gap, and we're gonna enable wrap. Wrap, basically, I'm gonna show you what it does in just a second. I'm gonna copy the links text, paste it right here, set it to fit content, and we're gonna pick P16, I think this is. Yep, P16. We're gonna select the stack, which will be called links wrapper. We're gonna make sure the distribute is set to start. Now here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 links. So I'm just gonna copy this 5 times. And now I'm just gonna simply insert the text that we have for each link. Okay, now let's select the links wrapper layer, make sure it's set to fit content. Now we're gonna check the gap that we have here, which is 20 pixels. So add 20 pixels. And now before that, just set the height to fit content right here. You might notice that this is, way smaller than what we have here. Like the links are wrapping around. Basically how we do that is we need to add a max width to the main layer, which is 320 pixels. So this is like links main layer. We're gonna add a simple max width of 320 pixels. And just like that, we have the same exact layout as in the design. Now we're gonna copy this over, and then all we're going to do is copy the logo from the navigation that we have, go back home, paste it inside of here, move it on top, remove the links text, and now I'm just gonna copy this text from here, paste it in one of the layers, take this layer and move it right above the links wrapper, remove the links wrapper, select this text layer that we just created, set the width to fill, and the gap is actually 16 pixels, but I'm gonna leave it at 20 because I think it looks nicer. And then we're just gonna add another stack above this, set the distribute to start, add a max width of 320 once again. And now what we have to do is add in these social media icons. To do that, we need to go back to Remix UI. And then here we have this social media icon component. We're going to simply copy it. We're going to go back to Framer. And inside of this stack here, which let's call it About Company, we're going to paste it. Make sure it's in the About Company layer. And we're going to pick the light variant. We're going to make sure that the About Company layer is set to vertical align and align to the left. And the gap here is 24 pixels, just like this. And now we're gonna add a stack on top of our social media icon. We're gonna set the distribute to start. We're gonna enable wrap. We do have 3 social medias here, so let's copy this. First one is Twitter. Second one is Facebook. And let's say the third one is LinkedIn. Okay, just like this. And we are almost done actually. Let's see, here we have 61 pixels of padding, so let's add 60 on the bottom for the content wrapper layer. And finally, what we will actually do to finish this off is we're gonna export this background image. Again, I recommend exporting it as a JPEG, at least 1.5x. Then all we have to do is insert it into Framer. We're gonna Command X to cut it, and we're gonna paste it inside of the content wrapper, actually inside of the footer area. So let's Command V to paste that, move it above everything, set the width to relative, 100%, and now we will set the positioning to absolute, make sure the Z index is 0, and we're gonna position it at the bottom, 0 pixels from the bottom, just like this, and we will add a mask once again, but we're gonna rotate it so it disappears at the top, just like this, and I'm gonna drag this slightly, like up to 50%, I think is nice. And our footer is almost complete. The last touch that we need to add is this little copyright notice and privacy policy links at the bottom. So I'm gonna go back to Framer, I'm gonna draw a Framer here, I'm gonna select the footer layer, and I'm actually gonna paste it inside of the desktop layer so it goes at the bottom below the footer. We're gonna set it to fill. We're gonna remove the fill color. We're gonna add a top border of white 12%, just like this, and it's gonna be only on the top, so we will remove everything from right, bottom, and left. And now to make this easier, I'm gonna copy this layer that we have here that says latest projects. I'm gonna paste it inside of the stack we just created. I'm gonna set the width to actually first, let's add to the frame we just created, let's add a layout, make sure it's horizontal. Now for the text wrapper, we're gonna set it to fill, remove the max width, and then we're gonna remove the padding from this as well. But we're gonna select the stack, which we copyright notice. We're gonna select it, and we're gonna make sure that we have padding enabled here, which will be, let's see, 32 on top and bottom and 20 pixels on right and left. And we're gonna set the height to fit content. Now all we have to do is simply remove the white color from here, is simply copy the text, make sure it's set to fit content, copy it over, just like this, and on the right side we're going to copy this, paste it, we're going to select the text wrapper for one last time, and we're going to set the gap to 44. Just like this, we are pretty much done with our footer. Okay, we need to try to fix this image a bit. So I'm gonna unlock the height property. I'm gonna align it to the top at 0 as well. And then we're gonna set this top center. And now if we preview this, let's see how this looks. Okay, this looks better now. It still does look a bit weird because we don't have any sections in between, but if we did have, it would look good. We need to do the same exact thing for the image in the hero section though. So currently it's 200 pixels from the top, but what we need to do is actually align it to the bottom, align it to the top, unlock the height property, align it to the bottom as well. Make sure this is 0. And now it does look a bit better, but we still have some issues. So let's align it 100 pixels from the bottom. And then for the mask, we're gonna add 2 points right here at the end. The last one will be alpha 0 again. This way, if we expand this, it looks nice either way. So yeah, this is how we fix the image issues. Now for the mobile responsiveness, what we'll do is first we will make sure our heading styles are responsive. For heading 1, we're gonna click edit, add breakpoints. For tablet, I think 72 looks good, and for mobile, I think 36 is nice. The description, I think we're gonna leave as it is. For the heading 2, we definitely need to optimize the heading 2. So if you try to select the heading and you select the image, this is because we didn't lock the image. We simply need to right click and lock the layer, and now we can freely select it. So heading 2, we're gonna add breakpoints once again. For tablet, I think 60. For mobile, 32, I think is pretty nice. And that's pretty much it. Now let's optimize the slideshow because it does have some issues right here on tablet and on mobile, and this is because of the sizing. So how do we fix that? This is actually pretty tricky in Framer because they don't have separate sizing settings for every breakpoint, and instead what we have to do is actually we have to duplicate the slideshow with smaller images. So I'm just gonna duplicate all of these. I'm actually just gonna duplicate one of it. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the width right here to 360 or something way smaller. And we're gonna set the padding of the parent layer to 1020, 1020. And then we're gonna duplicate this 2 times. And we're gonna simply take the image, paste it here, take this image, and paste it inside of the new small slideshow images. So I'm just gonna align them slightly better. And what we'll do is we'll basically copy the slideshow and we'll make it way, way, way smaller. So the height of this is 275. I'm gonna set it to 275. We're gonna disconnect all of the children and we're gonna connect them to the new smaller slideshow, just like this. And now what we'll do is we're actually gonna hide the slideshow. So we're gonna disable visibility and we're gonna enable it only on mobile. So I'm gonna disable the main slideshow here, make it not visible, and I'm gonna enable the small one right here. Now what we have to do is we have to also make the blur way smaller so it actually fits. And now I think if we preview the mobile, it looks fine, just like this, and it should also automatically rotate. There we go. Okay, we do have some issues with the background image, but first let's fix the buttons. To fix this is pretty simple. Simply we're gonna make sure it's vertical, and the gap we're gonna set it to 20. And now I wanna push this background image a bit to the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is set the bottom to 0 and the top to 400, or maybe even more, 440. Something like this I think is nicer. And also I'm gonna reduce the padding on top here, like 60 pixels I think is okay. And at the bottom probably 40 I think is fine. And we're pretty much done. Now for the footer, same thing. I'm gonna set it to 100 pixels on top, and we're gonna do the same thing for the buttons, but we will align them to the left with gap that we set here, 20 pixels. Okay, links are fine, this is fine. And for the bottom row, we're just gonna vertically align it in the middle, make sure everything is center aligned, just like this. And one thing I'm not liking is that this image is, too bright, and basically it's making it hard to read. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna set the position to a focal point, and we're gonna pick something right here to the left, so a bit less of the bright point of the image is visible. And just like that, we are pretty much optimized for mobile. So the final part of this tutorial will be adding animations. We're just gonna add some basic animations. It's not gonna be anything too complicated. Basically what I'm thinking is we would wanna animate the text, and Framer added really cool text animation. So if you pick text and actually open this, you will see that if we preview this, it has this super cool fading animation on the headline. Now, a few other things that I want to do is animate the pre-heading and the description. I want them to kind of appear slightly from the bottom. So how we'll do that is we'll click on effects, scroll animation, we'll disable replay, and then the enter effect will be with 0 opacity, 1 scale, and offset will be very slightly, like 4 pixels on the vertical axis, and the transition will be ease in and out, probably 0.5, and we're going to delay it 0.3 seconds so it has some time and it appears slightly after the headline. So if we preview this, you see, I think we should delay it slightly more, probably 0.5 seconds. You see that it appears almost immediately after this is finished. Now I think this text animation will look better if it's not animated per character but per word, because it will go slightly faster. Okay, this is this is too fast. I'm just gonna click on effect and the transition. Okay, let's see how we should do that. I'm gonna set the time to 1 second. Okay, and now we will actually reduce the enter animation delay here to 0.3 as I had it in the beginning. And now this is looking super clean already. So what I'll do is I'll copy the same exact animation, copy effects, and paste it right here. Paste effects on the description. And now this is looking pretty clean. So I'm gonna paste the same effects on the button, but we'll do a slight variation. So paste effects. What I'm gonna do is make the enter effect 12 pixels from the bottom instead of 4. And now I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna paste it inside of this element, paste the effect. But what we'll do is we will delay it just 1 more second. So they kind of pop in one after each other. Now you see that the animation is kind of getting cut off here. This is happening because the parent layer that holds the button and the element has the overflow set to hidden, but if we set it to visible, you see now everything is nice and smooth. I'm gonna add the same animation as this little element to the slideshow layer. So the whole slideshow wrapper, we're gonna paste this effect. But what we will do is the enter effect, we will make it probably like 60 pixels from the bottom. So it's a bit of a bigger effect. Just like this. And a few other things that we will adjust is the timing, probably make it 0.8 seconds. And we're gonna rotate it like 6 pixels on the x-axis. And we're gonna, on the style, we're gonna add, actually on the transform, we're gonna add a perspective property at 1200. And this will give this a really nice entry effect. It does have this little bug with the blur element. So I think what we'll do is we'll copy the effect and we're gonna remove it, and we're gonna paste it only on the slideshow element. So I'm gonna paste the effect right here, and I think this is looking nicer. But what we have to do is add a perspective on the transform here on this layer, because we added it on the main wrapper but not here, and now it doesn't have this 3D effect. You see now how it kind of slides in from the bottom. And finally, really finally, we're gonna once again copy this effect from this little element, and we're gonna paste it on the text wrapper layer above the slideshow, because we want it to appear with everything else and not before it. So I think this is pretty nice. Now, one last thing that I think will be a nice touch is if we add an appear effect on the background image. So I'm going to click on effects, scroll animation, remove the replay. We're gonna keep it a simple fade in, but we're gonna do ease in and out. We're gonna make it like 0.8 seconds and the delay will be 0.2 seconds. And now everything just kind of fades in nicely, just like this. So I think this is a pretty nice effect. This is just like a pretty quick idea. You can play around with this and try to figure out different animations that will make this look way cooler. But I think for a beginner, this is just, you know, enough for you to see how animations work in Framer. So yeah, this pretty much concludes the tutorial. I hope this was useful to you guys. I hope you found Remix UI useful. I use it pretty much every day to build all of my projects. And I would be very happy to see other people use it. So yeah, but if not, you can completely, you know, just cancel the subscription and you will not be charged at all. So yeah, if this video was helpful for you, click the like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.